Alright, today I've got every single divine and raid boss weapon, and I'm going to be using each weapon to solo the Shogun raid boss to see who can do it the fastest. Every weapon that I'm bringing here has 7 upgrades, and they're all at 100 mastery, and they all at least have prodigy or the crit damage trait, so that we have a fair judgment against every weapon against each other. Before we get into the video, I want to give a shout out to Zokyo. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name, but Zokyo, if you're watching this video, thank you for subscribing and thank you for tuning into this video. And if you would like to get a random shout out, don't forget to subscribe as I shout out a random subscriber in every video. To get into the details, I will be using the exact same pets, cosmetics, passives, and perk when soloing the raid with every single weapon. And before we begin every fight using every weapon, I'll be going over the upgrade stats, and I'll be showing you what trait the weapon has. And the only rule for this video is I will not be using the G move or the ultimate move for every weapon. I won't be using it because that move might interrupt cooldowns with other weapons, so I think it's going to lower potential damage, so I'm just going to skip using the ultimate move for every weapon. So the first weapon I go over will be the slowest weapon, and then we'll slowly creep up to which is the fastest weapon. With everything out of the way, let's get right into the fights. The weapon I'll be bringing here will be the ghost weapon. I've got 5 cooldown and 2 damage on this weapon. And I'm also running the prodigy trait, so let's get into the fight. Alright, for Ghost, that took us 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Alright, next up we got the shoes. I've got 5 cooldown and 2 damage. This is a great setup right here. And I've got the prodigy trait on it, so let's just get into the fight. Alright, for the shoes, that took 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Alright, next up is the bow. I've got 4 cooldown and 3 damage. I wish I did more cooldown as that's more optimal, but I know the bow will still do a great job. And I also got prodigy on the bow here. Let's just get into the fight. Leave me alone. For the bow, that took 2 minutes and 16 seconds right there. Alright, next up I've got the spinal blade here. It's got 6 cooldown and 1 damage. This is probably the most optimal build for it. And I've got the prodigy trait on it, so let's just get into the fight. Alright, for the spinal blade, that took 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Next up, I've got the Halloween sword with 4 cooldown and 3 damage. Of course, this is not optimal, so I wish I put more cooldown. And I'm running the Prodigy trait using the Halloween sword, so let's get into the fight. Alright, for the Halloween sword, that took 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Alright, next up we've got the Reaper Scythe. We've got 7 cooldown on it since it's got super slow cooldown, but this is the most optimal setup right here. And I've got the critical damage trait on it, so let's just get into the fight. Alright, for the Reaper Scythe, that took 1 minute and 31 seconds. Alright, and those are the results. The reason why I made this video is I want to showcase the gap between the strength of all these weapons is actually not that far from each other. In that even if you ran Shoes and Ghost right here, that this is still a meta setup to run. And although obviously there are weapons that are stronger than it, this is still a very OP and powerful setup to run together. But to talk about every weapon individually, as for the Ghost definitely struggles with very long cooldown, and all that long cooldown to just lead to weak damage isn't very good for Ghost, unfortunately. It's also very slow and has really long end lag. It has all the cons of all these weapons combined, and you don't really get great damage for it, at least compared to these other weapons. As for Shoes used to be the meta weapon, but they nerfed its cooldowns and they nerfed its damage, which is really sad to see, because the Shoes used to be the best because it felt like it actually had 5 moves instead of 4 moves. Because of the second skill, you can hit it twice. But of all the cooldown and damage nerf, the Shoes has definitely plummeted, but it's still a very snappy and nice weapon to use. There's no end lag and all the damage just comes out right there and has nice range, and it just feels really nice to play and use all the skills together. As for the bow, it has obviously a very powerful V move and has really fast cooldowns on all of its skills, but all of its skills besides the V move only do very mediocre damage. The damage is really similar to Ghost. The only upper hand that bow has is the range and really fast cooldowns, but it's a pretty nice mid-range, great high tier weapon right here. As for the Spinal Blade, during the fight, the Spinal Blade actually struggled to get some double damage meter because I think it's bugged or they either nerfed its double damage meter gain. It can't actually get double damage meter really fast on its own, which I feel like it might have been a lot faster if it actually was able to get the double damage. But one thing I'll say about the Spinal Blade is you want to think about these weapons in a real fight context. For example, these Spinal Blades have very long and drawn out barrage moves from its second and third move. And if you're fighting Sir Jackie or if you're fighting the Reaper boss, sometimes they TP away, so your barrage moves aren't actually landing. And another con I'll say about the Spinal Blade is that its end lag is really, really bad. There's not a lot you could do after you use a skill. It's like 1 to 2 seconds of end lag, you can't even M1, which is really frustrating sometimes. But of course, its pros are that it has insanely fast cooldowns and extremely powerful moves. All of its moves besides its first moves are extremely powerful, especially its V move. Its skill is extremely high. And I personally love the Spinal Blades right here. As for the Halloween sword, despite having mediocre upgrades, it's still very strong and very powerful. Similar to the Shoes, it has really snappy moves. You just press a button and all the damage comes out, and really high damage and really fast cooldown. It just has the best of everything right here. The Halloween sword is just a really great and all-rounded weapon. It just feels really nice and really fun to use. The only move that's kind of annoying to use is the second move since it has end lag, but everything else feels really nice and snappy. And of course, we have to discuss the best and strongest weapon. I know it has 7 cooldown, and I know it also has crit damage, but even if it had Prodigy or had the same stats as Halloween sword, we know that the Reaper Scythe is going to be extremely powerful. It's crazy because this is the only high tier weapon whose V move isn't actually what's broken about it. It's actually all of its other moves that make it so extremely broken. All this damage over time that you stack together. If you use your first move really close, you basically hitting your first move 3 times. And your V move, at least for me, it's only used to build up your double damage meter because it fills up instantly if it happens to hit the boss. The only con it has is it has really awkward range and really long cooldowns, but it's extremely high damage and insane range to really just make up for everything. This is definitely the best and strongest weapon in the game right now. So pretty much the order and how fast the weapons beat each raid boss is pretty much a ranking of how strong each weapon is, with Reaper Scythe being number 1, Halloween Sword being number 2, Spinal Blade being number 3, Bone being number 4, Shoes being number 5, and Ghost being number 6. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, I just want to showcase that the gap between all these weapons aren't actually too far from each other, and they're all still viable and still great weapons to use. But that's going to be it for using all the divine and raid weapons to solo the Shogun boss. I've just got one thing to say before the video ends. I will be streaming this Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please convert to your time zone to see if you can make it to the stream. During the stream, I will be helping people do the Sir Jackie raid boss, as he's going to be going away this Friday when the update releases. So I'll be helping anybody who still needs to get all the gear and all the drops from Sir Jackie. So if you think you could use my help, don't forget to tune into the stream, and don't forget to please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.